Hello and welcome back to Below the Curve Gaming. Today we're playing our second battle report of Infinity N4 at 300 points. We're playing the mission Looting and Sabotage from ITS Season 12. This is the board setup. We have two antennae, both from MicroArt Studios. They're ITS kit, I believe. That's one there, and the second one there. They get deployed on the front edge of the deployment zone, so 12 inches on in the center. And we've got two panoplies, we'll probably call them multiple different things throughout the game, but one here, also from MicroArt Studio, and the second one here. We'll come back with a breakdown of each of the lists and a talk through of our strategy, and then we'll do deployment from there.
Right folks, it's Martin here with the GSA, ready for some looting and sabotaging. Now, I have completely painted up the action pack. Obviously the Haramaki were painted last time, or in this game the Tankos. I've got a couple of extra models. We've gone for a slightly different list. So this time I have decided to take the biker, the Kuroshi rider, as my lieutenant. So with that in mind, the Kempeitai has lost the marksman rifle and lost the MSV, and we've gone for chain of command. We have a paramedic and we have a forward observer, which is the female model's paramedic. Again, the guy aiming is forward observer. And then the Laskai Sotsu is basically there as dog's meat. We've also gone for Yuriko because Yuriko is an engineer and she carries D-charges, so she can repair my antennae and more importantly she can blow up bends. We've gone for Yojimbo. Now he only turned up a couple of days ago, so he's not painted sadly. 3 Tanko. Now these have all got the Flammenspeer and Contender. We've gone for a ninja with a tactical bow. The Daiokai is carrying the Red Fury as ever. The Red Fury is absolutely brutal against Ariadna because there's a lot of models that don't have shock immunity. And we've gone for the Ryukin Unit 9. I will probably refer throughout the game to these as the Major and Batao from Ghost in the Shell. Now, the Ryukin Unit 9 girl has the hacker profile with forward deployment and the killer hacking device. Now, I'd be the first to admit this isn't maybe the greatest piece of equipment, but she also has D-charges and breaker pistol, and obviously Ariadna are not renowned for their BTS. The forward deployment should hopefully allow me to get across the table, and then the D-charges will allow me to try and take down Ben's antennae. Now, we've laid the 0G saturation zones. Now these are a bit of a pain because obviously I have 2 bikers, one of whom is my lieutenant, so I need to be quite careful as to how they cross the table, especially as my lieutenant is carrying D-charges, and Yojimbo will want to hammer across, and he has a double action close combat weapon which has the anti-material stat, so he too can chop down the antennae. The plan is that the Daiokai is going to defend, probably from this building here. The Tanko, who are not a fire team because I don't have Miyamoto, will use their impetuous orders to move up the board, which will potentially free up orders for the ninja should I need it. The Ryukin 9 will similarly help guard the objective. The other Ryukin 9 is going to try and make a beeline effectively for Ben's antennae. The Penelopes will be hopefully gathered up by the fire team. So I've also gone for a data scan. Now I've only got 1 hacker, which is the Ryukin, but the other option was follow-up, which would require me to get my heavy infantry, realistically the Tankos, up the table and to Ben's HVT. The catch with this is they're impetuous, so they can't claim cover. They're likely to get gunned down. Now we've deliberately gone for an asymmetrical table, so the tower is at one side. Ben has what I would consider the better of the two deployment zones. The last few games we very much played very symmetrical boards, which kind of defeats the point of Infinity. And until next month, we won't have any more scenery, so we're just having to make do with what we've got. So that's my game plan, that's my force. So let's see what Ben's got.
Hello, it's Ben, and this is my Caledonian Highlander army for looting and sabotage. So I've got two groups, and I'm running all 16 orders. So first group is a 1-1-2, which I'm using the Kazakh Doctor as a stand-in. I've only got the motorized 1-1-2, and I didn't quite have the points in this game. So she's a doctor, medikit, so a specialist for the mission in case I flipped any classified objectives that needed one, and also to run around and hopefully keep some of the other more key pieces up and running. I'm running a dozer because with looting and sabotage you need somebody with D charges to be able to deal damage to their AC2, and also you can, I think, engineer your own with a gizmo kit or an engineer specialist skill. So my dozer here, unfortunately not sprayed, I only built him up yesterday and based him today. I'm running Uhahu again as my war driver. I've picked a Sixth Sense profile with a hacking device. Hopefully if there's any heavy infantry or potentially tags, although I don't think Martin's ordered the tag as yet, so it would give me something that could hack them, and also gives me a bit of protection or a bit of options to hack his hackers as well, which we found happened in the past game. I'm running the SAS as a forward observer. It's not quite the right model for the profile, but the one I've just painted it up, and the other one has just arrived yesterday with a chain rifle, and it's about half the size of the new one, so not quite, but it's certainly a bit smaller. So this one's pretty much got the same weapons. Instead of a boarding shotgun, it's a light shotgun, but it's got chain rifle, D charges, and the infiltration and camouflage, so be able to deploy up the board, and obviously then it's got the D charges to deal damage to the AC2 on his side. Then I've got a link team, which is a volunteer paramedic, a volunteer with chain rifle and light shotgun. This is a light shotgun model. Yeah, again, I'd painted it up. So I wanted to try the male and female volunteers with a tartan to see how that turned out. So that was my kind of incentive to get them painted up. So I'll use her as the chain rifle profile. A volunteer with rifle and pistol, and then it's got the Highlander Grey with the HMG, who can also throw smoke. There's currently no MSVs in the force, although it's one of the things you can pick up from the Panoply, so potentially I'll be able to get some of that, but at the moment I'll just have to use it as kind of blocking and hope that he's not got MSVs, which I think he's got a lot more access than I do. And then finally I've got Wallace in this combat group. Now Wallace is the lieutenant option, comes with the Inspiring Leadership, one of only two models, I think, with Joan of Arc being the second, which turns all my irregular orders regular. Also gives everybody courage and ignores the retreat special rule, and he can use the lieutenant order for combined action. Now he is in the fire team, so that's a bit of a moot point because he couldn't use his combined action, I believe, whilst he's in it. But he's quite good for 35 points, I felt. He's also comes with a T2 rifle with +1 damage, which is pretty useful as well. So see how he does. He's the old model. Obviously, once Beyond Crimson Stone comes out, I'll be looking to replace it. It's not a bad model, the old one, but the new one looks a lot nicer. So Combat Group 2 is 5 regulars and 1 irregular. I was hoping to take a few more irregulars to make use of Inspiring Leadership, but I was finding actually points-wise that they were quite cheap, a lot of the Caledonians, so I was finding that I was having to put in more expensive stuff to get close to the 300. This is 300 on the nose and 4 SWC, which was another kind of slight issue I had, was spending those SWC. So this combat group is a Usha McNeil, this time the Specialist Operative. I felt the last game that with the Boarding Shotgun MSV profile didn't do particularly that much. So this one's still got the Boarding Shotgun, but it's got D-charges, which are going to be useful for the mission, but Assault Pistols at +1 burst, which takes up to 5 burst, which I think might be more beneficial if I maybe focus on using them, depending on the situation. But if I'm a similar situation where I've got a kind of link team or quite a few models spraying around the burst, particularly with surprise attack and mimetism, might allow me to win quite a few face-to-faces with her. I'm running the Cateran Sniper with T2 Sniper Rifle, who starts as a camo token, and he's not got infiltration, so he'll have to stay in my deployment zone, but a 1-use camo token at -3 for mimetism, so that'll be pretty useful as well. And then I have a link team, which is a Mormor Harris, which is using the Mormor with the NCO and the X-Visor, so he should be able to make use of Wallace's Lieutenant Order. He's got a T2 rifle, chain colt, heavy pistol, AP, close combat weapon. Also comes with +2 damage to his BS attacks and AP to his BS attacks as standard, which makes him quite brutal. So he's in a Harris now. They are quite pricey. This one's only 36 points, whereas the other one I had been looking at was about 40 to 41, I think. I can't quite remember, but it was the HMG profile. But the second option, I was going to have 2 of them plus then an extra, but a like special wildcard for the fire team, but I was too tight on points by this point. So I've taken Isabel McGregor, and she's got wildcard, so she can join any fire teams. And she's got a hacking device as well as D-charges and EM mines, which I'm hoping will be quite useful within the D-charges for the scenario, but the EM mines for taking on any heavy infantry and the like. And then I've got Caden, First Strike Dawn, who will join their fire team as well. Yet again, he's got the wildcard special rule. Wasn't initially going to take him, and had it in my head that I hadn't, and I had placed in the second Mormor, but as I say, I didn't have the points at the end. I did end up, this was pretty much the force, and it was 289, so I had 11 points left over. Wasn't quite sure what to take, so I only had the 1 slot left. So I've placed a volunteer with 1-use camo, which has got, now it's actually not this model, I'll have to switch that out. It's a rifle, D-charges, pistol and close combat weapon. So it wasn't my initial choice, but I felt it could work quite well with the Cateran if I keep her in the deployment zone, or I could place her down if I place both her and Usha, or the SAS I suppose actually, in like my half of the deployment, or that people might not know, or Martin might not know which one's which. The only problem is because she doesn't have mimetism, it might be a bit easy to work out once you kind of look at the 2 of them on tokens. I've drawn for my classifieds, I've got HVT designation and net undermine. I'm not sure that I can actually run or complete the net undermine requirements, so I'm going to have to choose the HVT designation, which requires a forward observer or spotlight hacking program. I've only got the SAS forward observer and then Uhahu, or the war driver, for the Spotlight, and Isabel has a hacking device as well, so she should have Spotlight too. So I'm going to be a wee bit limited as to what I can complete with them. So I'll just have to see if I manage to do that. So I picked deployment, but Martin chose to go first. So I've picked this side with the kind of closer to the tower, and also a wee bit more terrain. I'm not sure. Obviously, the Caledonians often want to try and close quite quickly, but I'll be closing towards the side with a bit less in the deployment. I've got no parachutists, so that I would normally get with a Cosmoflot, so I will just have to see how it goes from that point. There's my HVT, sorry, I realised it was hidden over in the corner. We've got 0G, which I don't have much in the way of immunity or terrain total. I've got Usha and I've got the SAS, I believe are the only two. So I'll have to try and walk around those or kind of spend the orders to move through. There are areas like over at the side that are quite heavy for the saturation zones, so I'll just have to bear that in mind. So we'll come back at the end of deployment to see how it's gone.
So we've deployed our forces. As we can see, I have placed the Haramaki here. My biker lieutenant is beside him. We have the fire team here. Now, the Kaisotsu fire team, I'll be honest, they're not the most dangerous, but they do give the +1 burst, which means that Yuriko's Panzerfaust can unload all at once. She can get the boost to her ballistic skill as well. We've got paramedic. The Kemputai with chain of command is deployed prone, just in case. We've got Yojimbo, who is held back. Opposite Yojimbo, there is only a dozer with a rifle, so I felt safe enough placing him there. Another Haramaki. We have the Daiokai, who will climb on top of this building and stand beside Batu, will then go in suppressive. We have the final Haramaki here. Down in this spot here, we have our ninja. Now, I can almost guarantee this is Isabel McGregor right here. We have a mine. We have the Ryukin 9 deployed prone. She's got a work cut out for her to get across here, down these stairs and to the antennae. Her mine is placed there. So, and the HVT has just come out of the small shopping mall and is debating icicles. However, this time I'm actually going to show what Ben's done. So we have a camo token with mimetism deployed prone here. He's got his HVT. We've got his war driver using the Uhahu model. We have a 5-strong link team. So this is a Scots Grey here with an HMG. We've got a paramedic, I believe, William Wallace, a chap with a volunteer for a rifle, and a volunteer for chain rifles. That's a volunteer as well. We have another mimetism camo token. We have down here a 112 using the Kazakh Doctor model right now. We have the Dozer. Then we have a Harris team. This one's a bit brutal. This is a Mormer, who I think is a T2 rifle. Kaden First Strike Dawn and Isabel McGregor. Now, Yojimbo's intending to come round, throw some smoke to provide a bit of cover. The smoke's going to have to sort of go here to stop the HMG. And my lieutenant is going to do the same. She's going to scoot round to here, try and throw smoke to here, to then come to here to get out line of sight of this fire team. I'm fairly confident I've got a good plan, and I really what I want to do is just get Yojimbo up as quickly as possible and take out this. I do need to bear in mind that Ben is going to reduce my order pool. I suspect, even with the camo tokens, I think I'm probably due somebody sneaking on from the side or back. I don't know the Caledonian list particularly well, so I'm not 100% sure if you can airdrop troops in, but it's something I will have to be prepared for.
So this is my deployment. So we have, if we go through from right to left, we have the link team of the Mormere, Caden and Isabel, kind of guarding this passageway, but the plan is to maybe move down and round and hopefully take out some of the kind of link team with the shooting and move towards the objective that way. We have the dozer, who I've placed here to kind of protect my AC2, which is just beside him, with the Kazakh doctor, which is the 112, the 112 behind him to bring him back up if need be. I have a camo token on the roof, standing up as opposed to prone, which is a Kataran. So hopefully he'll guard some of the kind of movement lines towards the AC2 on my side. Then hidden here, I have the link team with the Highlander Grey with the HMG, the paramedic in base contact with him, then Wallace, the paramedic with rifle, and then paramedic with chain rifle and light shotgun at the back. Over here, I have the camo token, which is the infiltrating volunteer. I have my war driver just behind these 0Gs. Plans probably to move up around here and offer some protection for the HVT, hopefully against hacking and things like that. This is my SAS prone who has infiltrated up, and the plan is to hopefully get round to his HVT here to use the forward observer on it for the designation special rule or special mission classified objective, and also I can go via the Panoply if I wish. And then I've got Usha McNeil who has infiltrated here. I'm expecting on Martin's side that to be a mine with the Ryukin 9 up there, and then probably from that camo marker there, which I assume is the Ryukin 9 with the rockets, and then the other Ryukin 9 which is prone there. I think that's probably a mine there. So I can see he's got his link team around there. Yojimbo was his held back model, Usha was mine, and then he's got the free Tanko, which is one. I think the two second one's behind this building here, and I think there might be a third round here. No, I'll have to try and find out where it's been hidden. And the Daiokai, I think it's called the big guy, there as well. So we'll see how the game goes. Plan is I want to try and get some of the Panoply stuff quite early, and also to try and provide some AROs to him moving up to do so. Obviously the Japanese are quite fast, I found, with the likes of the bikers. He's got the two bikes. I think the Yojimbo, and then the second bike is hidden around here. So they'll be quite fast and able to move up. So I'll have to hope that the Mormere, the T2 rifle, can kind of protect against the biker moving up this side. And then I've got the dozer, but I doubt it's going to be much use. I'm possibly going to have to dodge depending on what he fires at me. In that it's going to be one of my key pieces, so I don't want to lose it early. So we'll come back at the end of turn one, see how things have gone. So we've had our first casualty of the match. The
Kairoshi Rider
has moved out using its impetuous order, drawing an ARO from the Mormere and the Harris, who had declared shoot as his ARO. The Rider declared pop smoke, or launch a smoke grenade from its smoke launchers to about here. Face-to-face rolls, a +1 burst due to the Harris gave me a 7 and a 20 to hit, compared to Martin's 2 for his smoke grenade, which the 20 obviously missed and the 7 hit. And then there was an 8 rolled for the armour save. Now the Mormor comes with +2 damage to its BS attacks and AP, and with a T2 rifle, the failed save caused 2 wounds to be suffered, which meant that the rider could not declare dogged and is removed. So Yojimbo has came around the corner here. He's dropped multiple smoke grenades as his actions when I've gone to fire with my Highlander Grey. So the first one was in response to the Dozer, who had attempted to dodge and failed. Second one also in response to the Dozer, which had dodged and failed. And he's then dropped one in response to the ARO from the Highlander Grey here, succeeding to put smoke around here. We've run out of smoke templates, so that red objective marker or player B marker is signifying where the smoke is. So he's got into contact. The Cateran's got no MSV visor, so can't shoot through the smoke, so has declared a dodge and failed. The Highlander Grey also doesn't have an MSV and has no line of sight, but is within 8, so he has declared a shoot just in case Yojimbo did break cover from the smoke, but has not so far. And the Dozer succeeded on his dodge to move him out of this fire lane and also have line of sight to the AC2. So Yojimbo has declared a close combat attack with his double action close combat weapon against the the AC2, which is CCE 27, we believe, so he'll hit on a 13 or crit on a 13. So Martin has rolled and got a 14. So we've now got some armour rolls to take for the AC2 and see if Yojimbo can take it out with his double action anti-material close combat weapon.
So Yojimbo is currently physical 17 thanks to martial arts, I believe, maybe 16. So Ben has to take saves. So he's got 2 saves for the
AC2.
So it's armor 8. Unfortunately, Yojimbo doesn't have an AP close combat weapon. But yes, it is indeed +3 physical thanks to martial arts level 4. So let's see if Ben can protect his 3 structure antennae, needing 10s.
So that's an 8 and a 17, so it will take 1 wound or 1 structure, go down to structure 2, which will score Martin a victory point. So we're still partway through turn 1, so we'll come back at the end of turn 1. So Martin has spent another order on Yojimbo and is about to fight combat with the objective again. Now we did realise because Martin had critted, I should have rolled 3 saves. 2 for the double action and 1 for the crit. So I took an extra save and unfortunately it's taken a further point of structure. So it's currently got 1 point of structure left. So he's hit, but this time no crit. So it's just the 2 dice with the for the double action, and it will need 10s again. So an 11 and 17. So the objective will stay standing for 1 more order, hopefully. So Martin has spent his final order from pool 1 on Yojimbo, who has declared combat again with the AC2. He has critted with his attack. He has taken a hit back from the Dozer, so it's just with the pistol I fired with the Dozer for the +3 to hit because his BS is only 11. So it will be a armor 1 versus damage 11 for the pistol, so an 11 to save. That's a 5, so Yojimbo will take a wound or drop unconscious.
Yojimbo thankfully has no wound incapacitation. He has immunity critical, which I was really hoping to get to showcase, but we're currently now faffing around with no wound incapacitation, so it's critical that Ben generously fails 2 of these saves.
So there's 3 saves to take on it. Yet again, Armour 8 versus Fizz 17. So I'll need 10s. So that's a 7, 11 and 20. So unfortunately, the 11 and 20 are fine, but the 7 will mean that it takes its final point of structure, which will count as destroyed, which will give Martin 3 points for destroy.
No, if an AC2 structure is reduced below 0, it is removed from the table. So it's currently on 0.
Okay.
Which means Ben could get the dozer up into contact with it in order to repair it.
Okay, so Martin will currently have 3 points, but if he was to fully destroy it, he gets a further 2. So that is all the orders out of his pool 1. So we'll just have to see if there's any orders in pool 2, because he does have Tankos, which should have regular orders as well. So we have moved into Martin's pool 2, and the Tanko has moved into contact with Usha, and Usha's declared combat with him, and so the Tanko's going to fight back. They're both martial arts level 2, so it'll be +3, -3. The Tanko's CC 23 and Usha's CC 22, so relatively balanced combat. So we'll roll to see who wins.
So 17's for me to crit. So Ben crits on an 18, and I roll a 9.
So Usha has thankfully succeeded in that. I was a wee bit worried. So she is Fizz 13 and has an AP close combat weapon.
So I go down to armor 2, meaning that I will need to roll 12s to save.
You've only got 1 save to take.
You critted. It's 2 saves.
Oh, sorry. Good point.
So as you can see, a 1 and a 5 has resulted in the untimely demise, or at least unconsciousness, of our first Tanko.
Perfect. Untimely is a matter of perspective.
This is possibly the first time Usha has succeeded in surviving the righteous crackback.
Right. We will move on and see if we've any more rolls to show you.
So it's the end of the GSA first turn. Things of note, as we have seen, we have an unconscious Tanko. We have a rather battered looking antennae. The Daiokai has climbed here, and our lieutenant bit the dust on her impetuous order, which is what can only be termed disastrous. And this is why the Kempeitai has been upgraded/downgraded to the number 2. Nothing moved except for Yojimbo out of pool 1. Obviously the impetuous order from the lieutenant, less said about her the better, and the Daiokai. But Yojimbo hoovered up 5 of the 6 orders, I believe, plus his impetuous order and his irregular order. So we're in a rather static position, so now we just kind of have to weather the storm and see where the Caledonians decide to advance.
So here we are at the start of my turn 1. Usha is impetuous due to the frenzy, so moved up and declared, moved up to here, and the Daiokai declared a shoot, and unfortunately, out of nowhere popped a blinking ninja with a tactical bow, which spoilt my fun a wee bit, but we have taken a few orders. First one through the impetuous, the Daiokai took a wound. Then the first order on Usha from the regular orders, she idled, trading face-to-face shots with both the ninja and the Daiokai. The ninja and Usha have both missed with all their shots so far. And the Daiokai took a further wound from Usha in this first order, going into no wound incapacitation. And then I spent a second regular order on her, doing a face-to-face. Both Usha and the ninja critted, cancelling each other out. And then the Daiokai took a further 2 hits and failed both saves, which has resulted in the Daiokai being removed as a casualty. So Usha has moved into contact with the ninja to try and take it out with CC. Unfortunately, that has prompted an ARO by the Ryukin 9, or Batsu, who has jumped up with his rocket launcher and X-Visor, managed to hit her. Also, there's a Tanko on the building, if I pan this up, Tanko in the building here, who has shot and hit with his contender. We had a face-to-face, the Ninja versus Usha in combat. Unfortunately, the Ninja critted and Usha rolled quite low, so she's going to take a huge amount of saves and most likely drop unconscious or dead at this point. So 2 dice from the Ninja's crit, which is double action as well.
Yes.
So that'll be 3 saves to take from the Ninja at physical.
14.
So it's a 20, 1 and an 8. So that will be 2 wounds that she takes. So 1 wound and drops unconscious. The shot from Batsu is explosive.
No, it's continuous damage 15.
Continuous damage 15. So that's a 15. So I believe I have an armor 1. Nope, that's a scandalous lie. So that is a failed save. So that will take her out and she's removed as a casualty. So I've moved the fire team up. I was a bit worried of what I could use to try and stop Yojimbo here, because any ARO he's going to make would be to declare combat against the AC2. So I decided to make Wallace the team leader or fire team leader and moved him up and declared to prompt the ARO from Yojimbo, who declared a combat attack as expected, and Wallace declared a light shotgun using the blast mode to fire 3 small templates. Yojimbo hit but didn't crit the AC2, and I managed to pass both of the saves for it. So it's stuck on structure, or 3 wounds taken, 3 structure taken, but it's still got 1, or it doesn't count as going structure below 0, which is a key bit. Yojimbo taking 3 saves, failed 1, and has now been removed as a casualty because he was on no wound incapacitation. So that resolves the slight issue I had of a Yojimbo-sized object in contact with AC2, which frees up the rest of my models near the deployment zone to move up. So I have spent 2 orders on the dozer to move him into line of fire with the AC2. Now, I couldn't bring him into contact with it to use the engineer role because the Ryukin 9 with the rocket or missile launcher had line of fire if I was to move into contact with it. So I wanted to try and use the gizmo kit to restore some structure to it. The first roll I took, I missed the ballistic skill roll, despite requiring a 14. And so I spent a second order and hit this time on the 12. However, the AC2 is only physical 9, and so I managed to fail the physical roll, rolling a 14 to engineer a point of structure back. Unfortunately, with the gizmo kit, that means that it reduces its structure by 1, which will take it below 0, causing Martin to get the 2 victory points for destroying it. On reflection, I possibly didn't need to spend the orders to do that now. I could have waited till later in the game, and that it's not particularly at risk as it is at the moment. Unfortunately, bad decision. Now 5 victory points down, and I can see this going similarly to my past excursions with the Cosmoflot and getting 10-1, but we'll see how it goes. So I've moved the fire team up, and after a few false starts, you can see my stack of orders beside them, I had managed to get Wallace into line of sight with Batsu, or the Ryukin 9, and hoping with my 4 dice needing 10s that I would succeed versus 1 dice throwing back needing a 9. Unfortunately, I rolled quite low and Martin got an 8, so I've just managed to succeed in taking a template blast of a continuous damage rocket on Wallace's head. So it's damage
14.
and if I fail a save, I take a further save from it. So Wallace is armor 3, so I will need to roll 12s. But do I get cover against it?
No, it's a template.
So I will need to roll 12. So Wallace gets a 12, so that'll take him up to 15, so he is fine. The volunteer paramedic, it's always the paramedic, has armor 1, so he will need to roll a 14. He rolls a 20, so he is fine. And the Highlander Grey is armor 3, so he will need to roll a 12. And that is an 8, so he will take a wound. And then I roll a further save, which is a 7, which will mean he takes 2 wounds. Now, unfortunately, the Highlander Greys are only 1 wound. They do have Dogged, an immunity shock, but that will result in him dropping first unconscious and then dropping dead. I could use Dogged, but that is my final order for the turn, so I'll just have to remove him, unfortunately. So that takes it to the end of my turn 1, so I'll just do a quick overview of what has happened. So starting over this side, the Tanko, who was on the stairs, got taken out by the Harris team of the Mormer, Isabel and Caden, and they have moved up to hopefully protect this side of the board. The Dozer, we had seen, obviously had managed to destroy my AC2. The Cateran and the 112 haven't done anything. The fire team had moved forward, but unfortunately, as we've just seen, lost to Highlander Grey. So it is currently Wallace, the paramedic, and the 2 volunteers. I've got a token there that's not done anything, a token here that's not done anything, and the war driver has moved up. Unfortunately, Batsu has line of sight here, so I was hoping with the points, the orders onto the fire team to take him out, but unfortunately that has not happened. And then obviously, as we'd seen earlier, Usha has ceased to be over that side. So that is the end of turn 1. Currently Martin has 5 victory points and I have none. However, still a long way to go with turn 2 and 3. So the Ryukin 9 has just shuffled along the top of the walkway using cautious movement and declared a hack attempt on Wallace. The first one, although the hack was successful, Wallace passed to reset. So a second action was spent to move her a bit further and declare a second hacking attempt. She crit, although Wallace is immune to crit, so it's just a success. And Wallace rolled a 16 for his whip roll with a whip of 15. So he was successfully hacked, to which Martin declared data scan as his classified objective, putting him up 6 victory points to my current 0.
So it's the end of the JSA second turn, and this turn was actually really, really quick. The Tanko here, and on hindsight it was a poor move, uses Impetuous Order to run forward to this corner, and then I tried to dodge up onto the stairs, trying to draw a bit of line of fire. My initial intention had been to try and drop a Flammenspur burst in here until I realised it was in all the wrong range bands. The Tanko helpfully failed his dodge roll and shrugged off actually all the rifle rounds from here, but took a hit from the sniper rifle, and that was when I realised I was on 1 wound. And then Caden, who had line of sight from through here, you actually can't quite see Caden just due to the angle, but dropped me with the T2 rifle. The ninja made a run for the crate, got into contact with it, at which point an SAS jumped up. I predictably rolled a 20 on my dodge roll, took a chain rifle round to the face, which I rolled a 1 in the save, because there's no danger of rolling those two the other way round. As we've seen, the Ryukin 9 started here. She moved all the way across here, hacking Wallace, came down, dropped a mine, and then used all my orders to come down to here. Now this does leave Batau, or the other Ryukin 9, covering the SAS and the Cateran, so we'll have to hope he has some decent dice rolls. And we have the full fire team here. So that's the end of the GSA second turn.
So I've spent 2 orders on the Fireteam Harris, so we've moved up. First shots were through the 0G saturation zone, which caused the Kaisotsu that was just beside that red piece of terrain there to succeed all his armour rolls, but failed his courage, which he chose to take the courage check to try and get into cover, which he succeeded. Batsu succeeded, or the Ryukin 9, in passing a dodge roll, so was able to turn to face. Second order on them, the Caledonian idled, the other 2 moved up, or all 3 declared a move, but the Caledonian stayed where it was. Mortimer, sorry, not Caledonian. Mortimer stayed where he was and put 3 shots. He's burst +1, but obviously firing through the saturation zone, and despite needing 4s to hit, Batsu missed his shot, so he was able to hit on a 2, which has caused Batsu to fail 1 save, which due to T2 means Batsu is removed as a casualty. So this is the end of the Caledonian turn 2, and we've had a couple of casualties. So firstly, the War Driver, after Batsu, which we had seen was taken out, moved across here, but was unfortunately plugged at extreme range despite dodging by one of the Kaisotsus, who hit on a 2, I believe, and failed its save and died. I think it took 2 hits actually, one from the Kaisotsu and one from Yuriko behind it. The SAS, who was here, did all manners of shenanigans, jumped over here, grabbed Mimetism -6 from the Panoply, moved across here, dodging lots of shots, including some breaker pistols from the Ryukin 9, came running up to move into contact with the HVT to attempt to use its forward observe on it. Unfortunately, failed to forward observe and was breaker pistoled from quite a considerable distance by the Ryukin 9, failing its BTS and dropping unconscious. If I do manage to get the 112, which is regretting its choice of not taking a motorbike now, it will take some considerable moves to get over that board to get it back up. Wallace ran up and attempted to combat the Ryukin 9, however she succeeded a dodge on a crit, and Wallace took 2 hits from the Kaisotsu and Yuriko, but succeeded both saves. So it's currently standing a wee bit in the open there. Over here, after taking out Batsu, the Mortimer opened the Panoply and got a double action close combat weapon from it. I've currently opened 2, which has put me technically onto 1 victory point. However, it's scored at the end of the game, so it'll depend if Martin manages to open any of the supply dumps.
So I had attempted an assassination run on Wallace with the fire team, which failed, and in the process, the plucky forward observer was taken out by a rifle burst. So the fire team shifted very quickly its command to my highly inexperienced paramedic, just entered into grad school. She moved up, managed to actually hit with the medkit, and to everybody's surprise, namely the paramedics, I critted on the physical roll, so the Kaisotsu has actually stood up and I still have a full fire team because I will spend a command token to reform it. So this was a bit of a short turn for the JSA, my final turn. As we saw, the assassination run on Wallace failed and the medic roll succeeded, which was highly exciting. I didn't really think this one through very well. The major idled and Wallace declared dodge, then a shot. And the first time I hit him and he shrugged off the hit. So then she idled, he declared dodge, and I tried to shoot and he dodged up the stairs and into combat with me. And actually, what I should have done was I should have made a beeline for the Penelope because he wouldn't have been able to dodge my movement roll. And so what has ended up happening is that the major is now locked in combat. This actually resulted in me just having to pass up on my last 2 orders, because I don't want to activate her, have Wallace inevitably chop a Reef head off, and then be able to run rampant. So at the end of my turn, I have my 6 points. My fire team is camped out over here, which isn't the greatest deployment, but it is what it is. And the Major's locked on combat over there. So let's go on to the Caledonian turn 3 and see what happens.
So I spent my first order on the fire team. Wallace, being the fire team leader, idled, but the other two, or he would count as moving, but he stayed where he was. The other 3 members moved up. This was to fight combat with the Ryukin 9, which Wallace declared as his action. But after the AROs, the Ryukin 9 had declared an ARO of combat for the attempt to det pack Wallace, or decharge, I think. And the fire team here, Yuriko and the paramedic fired, and the forward observer here fired as well. The paramedic hit the Ryukin 9, and she failed 2 saves from it, and the others hit Wallace, who managed to roll 4 fails for his saves and has been removed. The Wallace won the face-to-face combat roll and caused a wound to the Ryukin 9, which would have dropped her unconscious, but with the paramedic shots, she's removed as well. So both of them are removed. Unfortunately, that breaks my link team and will put me into loss of lieutenant, but being turn 3, it won't make too much of a difference now. However, I believe the Cateran, if we were to go further, would lose its ability to become regular. However, the orders have already been totaled at this point. So I spent an order on the Harris team. I moved them through the 0G, having to move up into contact and then move again, and then spent a second order to move out of it, and with the Mormer, went to fire my Chain Colt. Unfortunately, I didn't quite realise how many shots he was getting back, so Yuriko Panzerfausted me, and the Kaisotsu stood up and boarding shotgunned. Kempetai, sorry. The Mormer failed, had 6 saves to take from the Panzerfaust due to the explosive, and failed the first 3. I didn't even roll a second set of dice, so he was removed. And Isabel failed a save to the boarding, or 2 saves to the boarding shotgun, so she is removed as well. In reply, Yuriko dropped unconscious, and the paramedic, who was about here, was removed as a casualty. Unfortunately, as Isabel was one of the few decharges left in the force, it really limits the options I have to try and take out the AC2. The Mormer had picked up a double action weapon from the Panoply, so that was my backup plan. Caden is unfortunately on his own now. He has 3 orders, so we'll see if he can do anything. It's probably going to be hard push to get across there, especially in that I'm running out of models and the fire team seems to be blocking the line of fire, or blocking the routes I've got to the AC2. So I've had a wee bit of luck. I spent a command token to reform the link team and made the rifle volunteer the link leader, who stood behind this piece of terrain, and duked it out with the fire team over here. So in the first set of shots, I managed to take out the Kaisotsu, forward observer, and the Kempai through, I think that was through 2 orders actually, duking it out. I've since moved up the paramedic and the chain rifle further away, and then I've spent a further order on them, and this plucky Caledonian volunteer legged it into open cover to get, or no cover I suppose, to get into line of sight with the final Kaisotsu over here, who has a combi rifle, and at just about 16 the 2 of them duked it out, thankfully, in that His team is just at Kaisotsu now. It was 1 dice versus my 4 for the rifle, and I got 3 hits, to which these are Martin's saves, failed 2 of them, and dropped unconscious. Dead, removed. That is the final JSA model that was standing up, which with 3 orders, I have to hope that Caden, who is skulking down here, has enough move and attacks to get into contact with the AC2 and take it out with his double action. I do still have 2 orders in the first pool, which I may be able to unlock something from the panoply and then try and get into contact, but I think that might be a bit wishful thinking. The other option is if I can try and unlock something that allows me to complete my classified objective, which I'm not even sure if that's possible. But we'll see how it goes. 5 orders left and no models to resist. So this is the end of the Caledonian turn 3. So I spent my orders on Caden and moved him into contact with AC2. The first attack I critted with my T2 close combat weapon, which has anti-material. Unfortunately, Martin passed all the saves for the AC2. The final order that I had in that pool, he swung again and hit. It failed to save due to his AP, which is built into his profile, and due to the T2, took 2 points of structure, which will give me 2. The Link team, having seen this, were a wee bit limited. I contemplated trying to open the Panoply and roll to get the double action close combat weapon. However, it was one option out of the D20, and I felt even if I did get that, I would have then only 1 attack by the end of my movement to get into contact with it, which at physical close combat 14 and physical 11 I didn't think was going to do enough to take out the final 2 points of structure. So instead I opted to make the paramedic the Link leader, moved it up and attempted to shoot the unconscious SAS with my medikit to try and get it back on its feet so I could complete the HVT designation mission that I had, classified objective. Unfortunately, I missed twice, or missed the first one, moved up again, missed the second one, which with 1 order left, even if I'd succeeded the first one, the third one, which I did miss as well, then I wouldn't have had any orders to actually then be able to complete the forward observe role. So that is the end of the game. Quite a bloodbath, although there's quite a few models that also didn't do very much either. But it ends with the JSA winning, and they will score 3 points for the structure that's removed, a further 2 for destroying the enemy objective, and a further 1 for the AC2 structure that they had left. So that will be 6 plus their classified objective for 7. They didn't open any of the panoplies, so they will not score for that. So they will have 7. The Caledonians managed to take 2 points of structure for 2. They also took 2 items out of the panoplies, which will give them a further 1. So it will finish 7 victory points to 3 in favour of the JSA. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed it. We'll have another video soon.